What's up, Mr. G here, and this is the video for Tic Tac Toe. Got a regular title block here. Down here at the bottom of my example, it says scale 1 inch equals 2 inches. So I'm going to take my regular size title block, check the top line, it's 11, which is the correct size, and then I'm going to scale it up by a value of 2. Then I'm going to start drawing out here. So this measurement says 1 foot square, so I'm going to just type in 12 and make a box that's 12 by 12. From there, there's an offset in 1/4 of an inch. It's not marked anywhere on the drawing. I think I just forgot it. It's actually not 1/4. I just said 1/4. It's 1/2 an inch based on this measurement here, basically. So I'm going to use the offset tool and type 1/2 and offset in all directions, and then use the trim tool to trim the corners off. And since I have that, I'm going to go ahead and center it within my title block by drawing diagonal lines across both of my spaces and using the move tool, grabbing it from the midpoint and putting it there. So the next part I do is the grid, and I actually draw it out in space as well, and then use the same centering method to center it inside of my 1 by 1 square. So I'm going to start from, let's say, this point right here. Actually, this point right here, and kind of follow this up, and then I'm going to use the mirror tool to mirror it a bunch of different directions. So how I do that is I'm going to just start a line from here going 3.5, and then I'm going to go this direction 2 3/4, and then come up 1/2, and then come this direction 2 3/4, up 2 3/4, over 1/2, down 2 3/4, and then over 3.5. So I've basically just created just this top left little corner right here using 3.5 for my big center measurements and 2 3/4 for all these 4 smaller measurements, and then 1/2 for the end caps. Then I can grab these lines right here by making a blue selection box, start at the top left and go this direction to select those. Use the mirror tool and mirror it from that midpoint straight up. Erase source objects, no. And then I'm going to do another blue selection box to grab this top stuff again and use the mirror tool to mirror straight across this direction. Then I can cap this off and use offset 1/2 again. So enter 1/2, enter, and click and offset these in. Then I'm going to use same centering method, so you just draw a line going from there to there, and then a line going from there to there, and move that. I think I moved it the wrong spot, so move that, make sure you grab it from the midpoint and drop it on the midpoint there. And now it should be perfectly centered within the space. Zoom in a bit. Now I'm going to do the circles. I want to make sure my circles are located on the correct, or in the center of the spaces, so I'm just going to draw lines going from the diagonals of the boxes that I'm going to be creating the circles in. Then I'm going to use the center radius circle tool to start a circle with a radius of 1 in each one of these locations. Once you have the circles in the correct locations, you can erase these lines, and then we're just going to do an offset. If our x's are 1/4 offset, we're going to assume that the circles are also 1/4. So I'm going to click offset 1/4 and just offset the circles in. Don't go out because it'll be too big. So make sure you offset in each one of these circles. And I'll go ahead and use the hatch tool, choose the magenta color, and click inside of the circles. Make sure it's solid and not a pattern. And that's those. The X's are a little more complicated. The measurements I give you for the X's are 2 by 2 to the midpoints of these little lines like here. So start off by making a box that's just 2 by 2, and then making an X inside of that box, and then erase the outer box. And if the overall offset is 1/4, we're going to take this line and we're going to offset half of that each direction. So half of 1/4 is 1/8. We're going to offset 1/8 up and down each direction. and then erase the two center lines that we originally started with, and then cap off the X's at those locations. Use the trim tool to trim that stuff. I would go ahead and hatch it with whatever color you want. And then I'm going to draw a line from there to there. You can't see it, but it is there. It's behind the hatch. I'm going to use that to center my X's in the correct locations. So again, to get the center locations, I'm drawing diagonals in the boxes where these are going to be placed. And then I'll grab this, use the copy tool, and copy it from that midpoint there. And drop it on the midpoints there, 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 and there. And I guess my lines decided to show up now in the middle of my X's, so I have to go through and erase all those. That's not bad. Okay, I can erase that one out there. The rest is just the measurements, so I'll go up here and change my color to magenta or cyan, and I'll start with the linear dimensions. So I'll go here to here, bring it out, and I notice that this is very small, so I'm going to go ahead and change my dim style by hitting escape and typing in the word dim style. D enter also works if you just want to type the letter D and go to enter. Click modify, and primary units, architectural is good. These are architectural format because it shows the whole number and then the fraction next to it. 1/8 is good. I'm going to go to fit, and I want these numbers to be larger. Let's try 1.5. Let's see what else I need to change. Also under text, that should all be good. So now it looks like that. I can double click on this text and type in the word square, and then keep adding my measurements. So this one up here is kind of tricky. Make sure you go to midpoint, from midpoint to midpoint, and then midpoint to midpoint, same on the side. This one is it's going at an angle, so we're going to use an aligned dimension for this one. It's the only one that's like that. See if I can make that look a little neater by bringing it in. And then this one over here, just go from point to point, all the way down, point to point. That looks a little weird. Maybe I can fix that in a minute. So to fix this, you can select it and then click on the blue little grip right there and just kind of slide it. So again, click on the measurement, click the blue grip that's on the top of the text, and as you move it up, it should kind of go to your mouse. That looks better. And I've got a radius 1 up here. Don't have to put the scale note. I'll go ahead and change this. I've already changed name, date, and period. The one thing that was left off, I'm going to go ahead and add now. It's just a measurement that tells me how far it is from there to there. And that's it.